Hey guys, SuperHorrorBro Mike here, and in today's video we look back at some of gaming's most notorious nope moments. These are instances where players have been forced to back out of their game, or at the very least take a break from a particular level due to encountering something too creepy or terrifying to handle. These kinds of encounters are known as nope moments for good reason, and are often found in games we wouldn't expect to be scary at all. There are many of these memorable moments throughout gaming history, but in today's video we focus on 13 of the most intense. Fear is a first-person shooter from 2005 where we assume the role of a super soldier known as Point Man, who along with his team are sent into enemy territory to investigate a paranormal phenomenon. Said phenomenon is a girl called Alma who appears as an all-powerful ghostly apparition at certain points throughout the campaign. Ghost girls are always terrifying, and Fear's developers use this to their advantage, incorporating a number of perfectly devised jump scares that made gamers at the time squeal in, well, fear. Mario 64 is, on one hand, a pretty cute and kid-friendly platformer. At the same time, it contains a handful of moments that, especially for the time, were pretty unnerving to behold. One of the more infamous is the piano room found within the Haunted Mansion stage, Big Boo's Haunt. At a first glance, it seems like a pretty normal piano, but as Mario approaches, it springs to life, showing a sharp set of white teeth and proceeds to try and chomp down on the poor plumber. The creepy sound of piano keys slamming and sudden unexpected awakening of a usually lifeless object makes for a jump scare that gets players because it isn't something we expect to find in a Mario game. There's something unnerving about mannequins, and perhaps this is why they are often used to great effect in the horror genre. Crime investigation game Condemned Criminal Origins used the mannequin trope to create one of gaming's biggest nope moments and scariest levels to boot. As we explore a seemingly derelict department store, mannequins can be found throughout. However, something we aren't prepared for is the moment where one begins to suddenly move before our very eyes. Others begin to follow suit, and after they attack us, it becomes obvious these are people posing in masks and makeup rather than actual mannequins themselves. Still, by this point, we are genuinely terrified and ready to get out of there as soon as possible. Many consider Alien Isolation to be one of the scariest games of all time. Based on the iconic horror movie franchise, Alien Isolation places us inside a space station where we are completely cut off from communication with the outside world and stalked by the fearsome movie monster every step of the way. Each encounter with the alien is different, and if caught, results in an instant game over. The alien encounters are numerous, and thanks to some clever AI and skin-crawling sound effects, this enemy has caused many players to quit long before completion. While the Batman Arkham series has never been afraid to dip its proverbial toe in the horror genre, there are few moments that manage to scare players more than the Caped Crusader's first run-in with a genetic mutation known as Man-Bat. This was a man who experimented on himself with bat DNA, transforming himself into a strange hybrid of the two species. At a random point during the game when roping from building to building, the following jump scare takes us by surprise as Bat meets Bat. The original Tomb Raider certainly had an unnerving atmosphere, exploring tombs and lost locales often in darkness with very little in the way of ambience. One of the most terrifying encounters talked about when Tomb Raider first released back in 1996 was found within the Lost Valley stage. Lara wanders through a dinosaur-infested valley surrounded by darkness, when suddenly out of nowhere an enormous T-Rex emerges from the mist and gives chase. It's a chilling moment for sure that caused many players to nope out immediately. Much like Mario 64 before it, Banjo-Kazooie is a classic 3D platform game from the Nintendo 64 era. It is, for the most part, far from what anyone in their right mind would class as a horror game. However, it has its creepy moments, and one in particular that really freaked people out at the time, especially those with a phobia of underwater nasties. This giant shark is called Clanker and is not actually hostile. In fact, the duo are tasked with freeing Clanker from imprisonment. However, it's easy to see why Clanker's appearance bothered so many people when the game first released, especially when we consider the fact he appears at the end of a dark tunnel deep underwater. The woods at night are a scary place, and with urban legends like Slenderman, they are made all the more unsettling. The premise for Slender the 8 Pages is simple. Explore the forest and, as the title suggests, collect 8 pages. That's it, and it's possible to complete the game very quickly. However, with limited battery life in our flashlight, and Slenderman becoming increasingly difficult to avoid at every turn, anxiety soon mounts. Slenderman is iconic for a reason. He really is the stuff of nightmares. A tall, gangly man with an expressionless face who can teleport around us in the dark. It's not hard to understand why so many players noped out of this after spotting him staring at them in the darkness for the first time. Amnesia: The Dark Descent is one of the most notoriously terrifying horror games out there. It contains an unrelenting atmosphere of pure dread and many instances of genuine terror. We explore an old castle with only a lantern to light our way as we unravel a dark and disturbing story involving rituals and human experimentation. However, one sequence fairly early on in the game caused many players to quit for good. As we explore a flooded cellar, things seem a little too quiet. Then suddenly we hear footsteps in the water, and out of nowhere, an invisible attacker bolts toward us. The sight of water splashing up as an unseen terror charges us down was a first for gaming at the time, and naturally caused many players to bail after witnessing it. This narrator was one of them. Zelda has always contained an element of horror, with some sinister enemy designs and creepy dungeons. However, if there's one enemy from this beloved series that really caused players to freak out, it has to be Ocarina of Time's version of the Re-Dead. These tall zombie-like monsters wear creepy masks as they periodically emit horrifying moans. They appear in clusters and attempt to latch onto Link with their clawed hands and eat his face off. It's a Zelda moment that takes us by surprise because of how much darker and more disturbing it is in contrast to the rest of the game. Outlast is full of note moments, let's be honest. From extreme gore to jump scares out of nowhere, this is a game tailor-made to scare the absolute living daylights out of anyone brave enough to venture into its psychotic world. However, if we are to pin down one particular nope moment here, it would surely be this conversation between two deranged brothers in the prison block. They calmly speak about which parts of our character's body they would like to eat first and why.
We give him a running start.
There's an idea.
And when we kill him slow.
Such patience.
I want his tongue and liver.
They are yours.
So a pretty normal conversation there. Luckily they are locked safely behind a cell door. However, later as we navigate down a dark hallway, the clap of lightning illuminates the path ahead to show the brothers striding toward us. A gut-wrenching moment for sure. Be quick or be dead. I think it's safe to say that most of us are squeamish when it comes to the human eye and anything bad happening to it. Dead Space 2 uses this concept to really evoke a reaction from gamers by making them slowly and carefully insert a needle into the iris of their character Isaac's eye. This is to stop Isaac having near-fatal hallucinations. However, I think most people would rather suffer those than have to carry out such a painful and precise operation. One wrong move and say goodbye to your eyesight. Resident Evil 2 is full of scary sights and sounds. From the skinless lizard-like lickers to hordes of flesh-eating zombies, navigating Raccoon City Police Department is a pretty scary prospect. One particular moment stands out, however, as being more than scary, but also genuinely horrifying to behold.
Jesus Christ!
This behemoth is known as Mr. X, a creation of the Umbrella Corporation, developed to hunt down and kill specific targets without hesitation. In this case, our heroes Claire Redfield and Leon Kennedy. After first encountering Mr. X, a large portion of the game thereafter is spent trying to avoid him as he marches around the police station. Hearing his footsteps move ever closer and eventually watching him emerge from the darkness ahead never stops being scary, and is the very definition of a nope moment. And that's it for today's video. Please remember to give it a like if you did enjoy watching, and maybe drop a comment too, as well as subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications so you never miss an upload. This channel specializes in variety horror content, including creepypasta readings, horror gaming facts and theories, and general interest pop culture horror videos. So if you're interested in all things spooky, you'll find something to enjoy here at SuperHorrorBro. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.